Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda. In today's video we are going to be looking at how to apply a rubber colour base, seeing as we have 7 new shades to the Kiki London rubber base collection and 6 of these are a new HEMA free formula. So jumping in, I thought we would do a start to finish kind of video. So I'm going to start off by cleansing my natural nails using a little bit of alcohol just to make sure that they are clean and ready to go in and prep. To start off with for prep, I'm going to be using this Sophia cuticle tool. Now I love using a combination of the K&S cuticle tools to really get a thorough prep. Now thorough prep is really important when it comes to making sure that your manicure lasts. So I'm going to start off by using the wide side of the Sophia cuticle tool to push back all of the cuticles. This is going to start lifting up any dead cuticle that's also growing up the nail plate, but this does also push back all of that living skin and tissue that you don't want to remove from the nail. Kind of like make sure that it pushes it back from the surface of the nail plate, exposing as much of that nail plate as possible. Then my nails were a little bit rough. They've been a little bit neglected lately, let's say. So there's a bit of stubborn cuticle. So this is where I switched to the Helsinki cuticle tool. This has a flat and angular end, which I really love for really getting off that dead hardened cuticle. As you can see, it scrapes away effortlessly. I have sped this portion of the video up slightly, but you want to make sure that you're being nice and gentle. You don't need to apply a lot of pressure with this cuticle tool because it is very sharp. So go in nice and gentle, keeping it flat to the nail plate, and as you can see, it just scrapes away all of that dead cuticle. And then I like to use the angled end to really get around the curves at that cuticle area and down those side walls as well. And this kind of works similar to a cuticle knife in that you can cut away all of that dead skin as well. Anything that is super stubborn, I will leave and come in and nip off, which you will see next. So for cuticle nippers, I'm using the Milan cuticle nippers. All of these are available on the Kiki London website, so I will leave that linked in the description box below. Again, these are super sharp, so you want to be careful, especially when working around the cuticle area if the skin is a little bit sensitive. I do have quite sensitive skin, so I am one of those people that is very easy for me to like nip an area and for it to bleed. Luckily that doesn't happen in today's video, but yeah, you want to just be nice and gentle and careful around that cuticle area as these are super sharp. As you can see, I just nipped off a few little stubborn bits of cuticle that were gonna kind of be in the way. So I want to make sure that that nail plate is fully clean from any cuticle that might have been growing up the nail plate, and make sure that they look as neat as possible for around the edges. My skin has been super dry as I've been doing lots of application and lots of removals of different nail products, and I haven't been keeping up with my cuticle oil, but I will show you at the end of this video how the K&S Woody Rose hand lotion fixes up your dry skin pretty much instantly. Now I'm going to switch to my Kiki London file. I'm taking the 180 grit side of this and just kind of like neatening up the shape. Now my nails here are super short. I recently shortened them right down as I broke one of them, and I hate it when they're mismatched lengths, so I took them right down to a short, and they was already kind of like a squoval shape, so I ended up just keeping with that shape. So I've just gone in with that 180 grit file to neaten up the shape. Of course at this point, this is where you would come in and shape the nail to your client or your own desired length and shape. If you're taking off a lot of length, it is easier to come in and nip off that length with some cutters first of all before having to file down lots of length. But if you're just having to reshape the nail, then it's easy enough to do this just using the 180 grit side of the file. And then sticking with that on 180 grit side, I'm going to go in and very gently etch the surface of the nail plate. So I'm basically just using a really light tickling motion over the entire surface of the nail, trying to avoid going over that same area more than once. You just want to make sure that you're going over the entire nail plate once. You don't want to over file the natural nail plate. If you've got clients who have got quite weak or damaged nails, I wouldn't recommend doing this with a file. Instead, I would use a buffer. And then I'm going to go in and cleanse and dehydrate the nail. So I'm using some alcohol here again, giving the nails a really good scrub to remove any excess oil that's on the nail plate before coming in with the Kiki London primer. Now the primer is air drying, a little bit goes a long way, and I do like to really work it in to that natural nail plate. So I'm kind of like scrubbing it in to those etched surfaces that we've created. Then I'm going to take my stripe liner brush and I'm going to keep this to hand, as I love having this to hand when I'm applying any of my gel products. And then we're going to jump into applying our rubber bases. So I'm going to be using RB23, which is this gorgeous milky lavender, and I thought this would pair beautifully with RB22, as I feel as though the base shade in RB22 is very similar to RB23, but obviously 22 has those beautiful glitter flakes. I was fancying something very simple but a hint of sparkle, so I felt as though these two colors teamed up beautifully. So I'm going to start off by applying a thin coat as our base coats. Now with the rubber color bases, they work as color and base in one, so I like to go in with my first coat super thin, really work that in to our primed nail plate, kind of like scrubbing it in to the natural nail and then just gently floating it over. And then I will take my strap liner brush and use this to get as close to that cuticle area as possible. This way you've got a lot more control over where you're moving that product to. So I like to get fairly close with my bottle brush, but then I'll switch to the strap liner brush and just edge that rubber base coat even closer so that there's no gaps. And then this is going to make your manicure as it's growing out look a lot neater. You can also at this point as well use your strap liner brush to distribute those glitter particles around if you want to. I always like to do my thumbs separately, so I've popped that one in secure just so that it doesn't smudge or anything while we're working on the other nails. Now I'm going to switch to RB23, and application is pretty much the same as RB22. You've just not got those glitter particles. So I like to take a very small amount on my brush, so I'm wiping off one side and then half of the other side so that the gel is on that bottom portion of the nail brush. And I'm doing this so that I don't go in with too much product on my brush, especially when you're working on super short natural nails like I am here. A little bit of product is going to go a long way, and it's a lot easier to control that product if you have less rather than more, because of course if you need more you can jump back into your bottle brush and grab some more product. But if you go straight into the nail with lots of product on your brush, you end up chasing it around the nail, you could end up flooding the cuticles and things like that. So I always find it easier to have one side of my brush completely clean of product and then just maneuvering the rest of the product on the other side to the bottom half of the nail. And then the same principle, I like to get as close to the cuticle and sidewalls as possible with that bottle brush, and then I'll take my stripe liner brush and just use the product on the nail to nudge that closer to that cuticle area. So we did RB23 on the pointer, middle and little finger, and then we're going to switch to RB22 for the ring finger, as I thought this would match nicely with the thumbnail. And then again, I'm just going to load up my brush. Here I needed a little bit more product to get as close to that cuticle area. You'll find if you work on clients especially, every cuticle area is slightly different. Some can be quite narrow and it can be quite hard to get a close, neat application with the bottle brush. So I always find having my strap liner brush to hand makes it a little bit easier. So we popped this first coat in secure for 30 seconds, and then I'm going to come in and apply my second coat. Now I apply my second coat different to apply my first coat. I want to build up a little bit of structure. I kind of want to work with a rubber color base like it's a builder gel, but just maybe slightly thinner than you would do a builder gel overlay. So as you can see, I've took a ball of gel, keeping it again on that bottom half of the nail, and then I just float it from side to side down towards the tip of the nail. And then I do want to cap that free edge as well, but if it's a little bit harder to do that with the bottle brush, you can do that with your stripe liner brush as well. So we're just going to take that stripe liner brush and nudge our product up to that cuticle area, but I'm using a little bit more product on my stripe liner brush on that second coat as though what I would have done on my first coat, because I'm wanting that second coat to be a little bit thicker than the first coat. I went in with my first coat very thin, scrubbed it into that natural nail plate. With the second coat, I'm wanting to build up just a little bit of structure. This way, if you have got weak or damaged nails, you're really giving your nails the strengthening properties from the rubber bases to really help your nails grow out without any breakages. It's brilliant if you have got quite weak or brittle nails as well, because it's adding that strengthening layer over the top, so it's protecting your nails from all the outside elements and the harshness that we can sometimes put them through. So again, I always like to cure my thumb separately, so I've come in and cured my thumb, and then we're going to move to RB23 to do the same on the rest of the nails minus the ring finger. So as you can see, just floating that product from side to side down towards the tip of the nail. This is very simple to do on short nails, but it works brilliant on longer nails as well. Like if you have clients with naturally long nails, you can really add in a nice apex using the rubber color bases. You just need to use a little bit more product than what I am here, and you would focus that product more in the back third to build up an apex area. Because I'm working on very short nails, I don't want to build up too much of an apex, as it would end up looking quite bulky. But this system is great for anyone who's got short bitter nails, because you can add that nice apex in, and I feel as though it really enhances the look of natural nails. And then it's going to help your clients grow out their nails and get a little bit of length to them, and then you can continue with the rubber base system. Now I'm going to go in and again and just do this on all three of the nails. When I am working that product side to side, you can see I'm not taking it right up to the sidewalls with the bottle brush. For two reasons, same as before, we don't want to hit the skin and sidewalls, but also because you want the sidewall areas of the nail to be that little bit thinner than the center of the nail. The center of the nail, we're building up our apex in the back third, and we're having the spine running down the center. So I want the product to be ever so slightly thinner at the sidewalls and free edge, just so it tapers off nicely. So you will see here, I'm just coming in with my stripe liner brush, nudging that product up towards the sidewalls, but making sure that they're not looking thick and bulky. Same at the tip of the nail here as well. I've come in with my brush to make sure that I'm capping the free edge. This is going to really help minimize chipping, especially if you've got clients who nails are already damaged and then they're quite hard on them. By coming in and capping that free edge, it's giving the free edge of the nail an extra layer of protection. But then also I'm making sure that the tip of the nail isn't thick and bulky. Now when you're doing your application with the rubber bases that have glitters embedded in them, so like this one, you can also, in that second coat, when you're floating it on, you're able to distribute those glitter flakes a lot easier. But then you can come in with your brush and move them around. So say for example here, I just felt as though there was too many of the darker color purple flakes together, so I just move them around slightly, and then I'm just nudging some over to this side of the nail where it's looking a little bit bare of the glitter flakes. If you do happen to get any product on the skin or cuticles, I always like to have an old round nail art brush to hand, and I'll just have a little bit of alcohol on this, and it's great for cleaning up if you do accidentally touch those skin and cuticles. You just want to make sure that you're cleaning off any gel products before you pop them in to cure. Now I always struggle with my little finger, especially when my nails are this short, so what I'll do is I'll get a small amount of product down on the nail, but I'll do a lot of the work with my stripe liner brush. So as you can see there, I'm completely wiping off the gel that's on this brush, as I really don't want to apply loads. It's a small nail bed area, so we're not going to need loads of product, and because it's a really narrow nail bed area as well, it's quite hard to get close to that cuticle area with the bottle brush. So I'll do a thin coat of application of product with my bottle brush, and then just go in with a little bit more product on my stripe liner brush, and I can use this to get close to those cuticle areas, but then also apply a little bit more product down the nail if it's needed. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just looking at the nail from all angles and coming in and distributing that product to where it needs to go. So in this case, it was more down that center part of the nail, and then I'm just going to make sure I'm coming around the edge of the nail, getting it to cap that free edge, and then thinning out the tip because it was a little bit bulky. So I'm just pulling that gel back a little bit. Now that we've got them all applied, if they do feel as though they're a little bit uneven, maybe where I've played out with them a little bit, I will hold the nails upside down for a few seconds just to help them self-level and let gravity do its thing. It's going to pull that product into the center of the nails and give you a nice smooth overlay. So of course you do need to come in and top coat. Now I highly recommend using the Kiki London No Wipe rubber top coat in combination with the rubber bases if you are wanting to do a really strengthening manicure. The rubber top coat, it's got a similar formula to the rubber color bases in the sense that it's got strengthening and it's designed for weak or brittle nails. So it's going to add that slightly thicker layer than a regular top coat to the nail. So it's great if you're quite hard on your nails, if you've got clients who maybe work in industries where they're quite hard on their nails. And then again, if you've got maybe clients who are nail biters or pick at the skin around the nails, having that thicker layer helps protect them a little bit. So I'm just going to apply a thin coat of this because although it is a thicker consistency product, you are able to work with it to get a nice thin application because we don't want a too thick application, especially on short nails. Now, of course, if you don't want to use the rubber top coat, you can use any of the top coats with the rubber base system. If you're wanting to do a completely HEMA free system, then you can use one of the HEMA free rubber color bases. As I mentioned, 6 of the shades are completely HEMA free, and then there is a HEMA free top coat as well. So if you have got clients who are allergic to HEMA, you can now make it a fully HEMA free application. So yeah, bear that in mind that there are a few different top coats to choose from, so there's something to suit everyone. I did then finish off with some cuticle oil, which my skin and cuticles really needed, and then lastly I come in with a small drop of the Woody Rose hand lotion, and I feel as though it just instantly enhances the appearance and softness of the skin. So I love finishing with this, especially when my nails are needing a little bit of TLC. And I think it's a great add-on if you're working in a salon as well, because the bottle lasts for ages and a little bit goes a long way, but it really gives your clients that little touch of luxury. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do leave us a comment below and hit that subscription button if you haven't already. And I shall see you all again next Friday. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.